Right. So when we have an issue that seems like we can't resolve it easily, it's a polarity as opposed to a problem. A problem can be fixed. A polarity needs a little bit of leveraging. So hang on, we'll wait till Tina gets in here and then I'll officially start. So hello, welcome. Nice to see you. Okay, so we're gonna do this fast and furious here because it's really, once you get the hang of it, it's super, super easy. So first thing I'm going to do is I'll share my screen. And this, but I don't know why those little bubbles come up, but it happens all the time. That was not a down thumb. That was an up thumb. Okay, so once we go through this, all the rest of your assignments will be a lot easier. Okay, because once you understand what order to do things in and what is being asked of you, then it'll help. But before I get into that, what will help me is, do you have specific questions? Like, where do you get lost? Hi, Tina.
I worked on it today, and it took me. I finally started off with what I can't even remember how it goes, but like I started at the beginning, I guess, where I want to be, and then how how does this look, and it was kind of confusing to me,
Okay.
but
Okay,
I
good.
figured it out. I think I figured it out, but I definitely want to understand better how this works. So
Beautiful. Okay. And what about you, Carrie? Was there any specific questions?
So I started working on the polarity map from last week, and I felt like once I kind of like dug into it, like it seemed to flow a little bit better and I started to understand it a little bit more. But I feel like based on your comment that I might have been using like a broader, I guess, thought process, and maybe I should have narrowed it down or like have a theme. So I'm just wondering if I'm kind of missing that piece,
Yeah.
or maybe I'm kind of getting confused on that.
Yeah, well, okay, so there are two elements here. Last week's assignment, you were supposed to pick a right and a responsibility within your professional practice or your personal life. So, for example, it is my right to privacy as a therapist, but I also have a responsibility to be relatively open and available to my clients. So how do I balance that? How do I balance my privacy with being transparent with my clients? You see? So, or a right and responsibility might be, I have the I have the right to autonomy in my life, but I also have the responsibility to care for other citizens in the community, right? So I don't get to just do whatever I want because, I also have to think about others. So how do I balance those two, right? Does that make sense? So that was last week. This week we're doing thinking versus feeling, or feeling versus thinking. And the activity or the video, I think it's the third one, number 3, active with the video. That's really, really helpful. So I highly recommend maybe you have to watch it more than once, but it'll help you to get the ideas of balancing. How do I, make decisions, balancing thinking and feeling, right? Okay. We're not going to use that as the example today because that would be cheating, but I will help figure out how to use the polarity map. Now, as I go through this, keep yourselves unmuted unless you have noise in the background, because there may be some pop questions. I want this to be collaborative so that we can really, and rather than me just barking at you what you have to do. So I might say, what do you think? So come up with some ideas. Well, let me share my screen first and then we'll dive into it. Okay, so this is your good old polarity map. Now, what we're going to do for the purposes of today's demonstration is we're going to work with the difference between activity and rest. We've seen that example before, but I just want to use it because it's simple and you can see how to do your homework, depending on whatever the subject might be. So number one thing you're going to do is decide what are the polarities, right? A lot of people forgot to do the very important thing right here, which is write in your polarities, right? So we're going to work with activity and rest. Oops, I don't know why that's small, but it is. Let's try to make that a little bigger. Anyway, well, what size is this one? Oh, let me just. Okay. Now, we got that far, right? Were we on the same page? Okay. So we're going to work with activity and rest. Now, we focus on one over the other. I like to move left to right. So let's do that. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at what are the values or positive sides to activity. So shout some out. What are some positive aspects of activity?
You get stronger.
Stronger. Let's say stronger. Stronger body, let's say, since we're talking about physical activity. What else?
It also helps with spirituality and energy.
Beautiful. Keeps we'll say increase of energy. Let's do one or two more. Let's do one more. Let's keep it simple. We'll do three for each. And that's, by the way, something else that you all want to do. I don't want just one value and one fear. I want at least two or three. Three is ideal. So what's one more value of activity? What else?
Mental health.
Beautiful.
Better mental health.
Mental health. Love it. Okay, those are our three positive sides. Now, in order to balance it and stay focused on that, what are some now, and this is the way we can ask ourselves. So that's the upside of activity. Let's go diagonally now down to the fears. If we have not enough activity, what happens to us?
We feel lethargic.
Okay. We're going to use that one. We feel lethargic, because we're out of shape. I'll put that one down. What else could happen to us mentally if we don't have enough? Or another way to ask that is if we have too much rest.
Depression or not feeling our well-being messes with our well-being.
Okay.
Depression, anxiety, maybe.
Yeah.
See, now we're coming up with a lot of them. Okay. So now we'll take a look at rest. What are some of the upsides to taking a break from activity?
The clarity, it helps you to clear your mind.
Mm-hmm.
Allows for recovery.
What else happens when we give our bodies a break?
That's when the muscle builds. Or I guess the muscle is building. I don't know how you say that, but
Yeah, muscles build. It has time to we'll say that we'll say rejuvenation, right?
yeah.
We get a chance to take a break. Right? All right. And again, when we have let's do this one too. Now we're looking at the flip side. Probably the easiest way to look at it here would be if we have too much activity, we can still put burnout over here. What's another one? Too much activity and we get what?
Injury.
Injury, yeah. Um,
What else can happen?
it it also messes with your mind too when you're doing too much. So
Yeah, what do we call, what do you want to call that?
loss of clarity or loss of well-being, sense of well-being.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we could say overwhelm,
Yeah.
or maybe we can even make that its own line. I like that. Yeah. Okay. So we'll move that just to keep it clear. We're going to move burnout down to the activities. Okay, so I want to recap before we go on. We have activity and we have rest. If we look at the left-hand column, what you have is, what are the positive sides to activity? Stronger body, spirituality, and our energy increases, all of those things when we're active. We have better mental health. If we do too much activity, we may burn out, we may injure ourselves, we have a mental lack of clarity, and we have overwhelm, right? Now, if we go in the other direction and rest, there are some positives to that. We have clarity of mind, we have time to recover. Our muscle gets a chance to rejuvenate and build up. If we have too much rest, we get lethargic, we're out of shape, we're depressed and anxious. Fair? Do we all agree? Anything we want to adjust? Okay. So now is a good chance. And you could have done this earlier, but I like to get a little bit of clarity first. Looking at what we have here, what is your deepest fear if you don't balance your activity and your rest? What's the deepest fear? What would it mean to you as a human being?
That I'm I don't know, that I'm in depression, anxiety, all the things.
Okay. So, oops, not the best typist in the world. What else?
That I'm out of shape and um
What could that do in the long run? What does that do to the quality of your life?
you yeah,
Decrease the quality of your life based on um like causing like these issues, I guess.
Yeah, and maybe increasing
disease. Yeah.
disease.
Mhm.
That's terrible. We don't want that at all. So, what's our highest hope when we can balance these?
That we have a good quality of life and strong mental health and be able to move our bodies.
Beautiful. Right. So I like that. Good quality of life. I mean, we could really just write that down, right? Sometimes it takes a little while, but these seem to be the overriding balanced topics here, right? Our highest hope is to have a good quality of life. Our deepest fear is to have a decreased quality of life. That's fair, right? Okay.
Right.
Any questions so far? Okay. So now we go to the warning signs. How will we know when we have had too much activity? What is an early warning sign?
Soreness.
What's up?
Sore.
Sore?
Overly sore, I guess you should say.
Yeah, right. Let's say, yeah, okay. I'll say overly sore.
I I want to say injury, but I don't know if that would be.
That falls into overly sore. Well, look at our fears and how might those show up for us? How would you know you're burned out?
when you're feeling tired and lethargic and not wanting to do anything.
Beautiful. Oops, again with my spelling. Feeling lethargic. Let's look at some of the, how would you, like overly sore can, works with injury. How would you know you don't have how would you know you have a loss of clarity?
Foggy mind.
Yep. And how do you know you're overwhelmed? What happens like in your interactions with other people?
You can't,
Yeah.
like you're anxious, you can't. And so you don't want to be around anybody. So you're anxious or you're
Okay.
Frustration,
frustrated or,
easily triggered.
yeah.
I love all these, you guys. Okay. So those are some excellent early warning signs. What are some early warning signs that we might be getting too much rest? Again, look at our fears and how would they manifest?
We're feeling out of shape. Or I should say we're feeling, yeah, like, well, the lethargic is another one there. You're feeling
Okay.
tired, diseases setting in.
Okay, getting sick more easily, maybe?
Yeah.
Oops. Right? Depression manifests itself by what? Like, how do you know you're depressed?
Not wanting to do anything or
Mm-hmm.
overwhelmed, feeling
Mm-hmm.
sad.
Yeah, love it. Okay, great. See how we're almost done already? So next, we want to look at, okay, once we are aware of these things, what are some ways, what are some actions that we can take here to make sure that we're taking care of ourselves, that we're using we're using the positives here, that we're achieving the positives of activity. What can you do here?
Making time to do the activity.
Mm-hmm.
Making so it's on this side we're doing too much activity.
No, it's not too much. It's we're looking at the values. What are the positives? So what are the action steps we can take, right, to achieve a stronger body, energy increase, mental health?
I was gonna say allow for rest, but I don't know. Maybe we should wait for that to the other side. I don't know.
Well, no, because sometimes that's fine. So we could say balance, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I want to say something like a balanced plan, like maybe have something written out or something in your calendar so that you're not just, doing too much each day, that you have a balance, kind of a pre-plan, I guess I should say.
Is that fair to say? Schedule activity and rest routine?
Yeah.
Love
Mhm.
it. Mm-hmm. And we're going to talk about, what goes on the right-hand side in a minute. Anything else? What are some steps you can do to stay, to make sure that your activity is supporting, for example, your mental health or your spiritual health?
I would say maybe having a friend or somebody for accountability.
Okay. Everyone in agreement on those? Okay, great. So that's 3. So here's what I want everyone to know. Sometimes these will cross over. So I really like this one. So I'm going to put it over here too, because we in order to have clarity of mind and recovery, we need to schedule rest and activity in balance. Right? That works on both sides. What else? What are some action steps to make sure that we are getting enough rest or giving ourselves recovery? And then this means practical. So if you've been going to the gym 6 days a week for 4 hours a day, right? Good luck if you have that time. But rest, the extreme other is not going to the gym at all. Right? What are some actions? But we're looking at these warning signs. We don't want those. So what can we do to make sure that we don't fall into any of these negative indicators?
Maybe increase awareness and just to be in tune with your body, to notice
Yeah.
this.
Right. I don't know. I'm making that up. Notice your body's needs. Um,
Find an activity that you love.
and I'm just gonna make that easier to see. Okay, so so
So I think I'm thinking back on the other side though now.
that's okay. That's okay. We'll put it there.
I don't know if you have that problem, Tina, but I feel like I kind of go back and forth.
Yeah.
That's okay. Do it. That's what this is for. It's not meant to be done necessarily because actually this is great that that happened because as you're working, oops, lost my screen here. Hang on a sec. As you're working on it, you're going to come up with different ideas and you're going to know where to put them. Oh, that sounds like it belongs in an action step for activity or whatever. And so yeah, that's not locked now. You know what I mean? You can add to it. This is how we do the leveraging, right? Okay, so what are some action steps to make sure that we get healthy rest?
Schedule sleep.
Okay. Let's say
prioritize.
Yeah, prioritize. Right. And then I'm looking at your muscle is built up, rejuvenation. I mean, I'll give you like another one that like when we get really specific. If I want to build muscle, I need a rest day. So I'm going to say no guilt for rest day, right? I need to not beat myself up because I'm taking a break. Okay, so now we have a completed polarity map now. Can you see how it works? So if we have too much activity, this is what happens. So if we have too much activity, we burn out, we get injured. If we don't have enough activity, if we have too much rest, that's where I was messing the words up earlier, please forgive me. If we have too much rest, not enough activity, we're out of shape, we're depressed, we're anxious. If we have just enough rest, then we have this clarity of mind, recovery is possible, muscle is built. If we have just enough activity, we have a stronger body. But all of these have to work together, just like the example they give about breathing. Breathing in and breathing out are both important. Inhaling feels great, but you can't stay in an inhale. You have to eventually exhale. So there are positives to both, right? I think that's the best example I can come up with, too, is how essential each of these is. So then once you've looked at like, okay, what are the values of each? What are the fears about each? If I get too much rest, if I get too much activity, that's what your fears are. Then you can go to how will I know? What are some warnings that I'm burned out, injured? I don't have clarity. I'm in overwhelmed. That's where these go. What are some early warnings that I'm getting lethargic or out of shape or depressed or anxious? That's where these go. Now, the action steps are the things where we're actually starting to find solutions for how these can work together. This is the leveraging part, right? So how can I make sure that I get rest, but not too much, right? So I'm going to schedule my activities. I'm going to be in tune. I'm going to pay attention to what my body needs. I'm going to prioritize sleep, and I'm not going to give myself guilt for a day off on your activity. I'm going to make sure that I'm active. I'm going to schedule that time. And the fact that this scheduling activity and rest routine is the same over here is a beautiful thing, because that may end up being the solution to how to balance the two, right? So of course they can be the same. To make sure that I stay active, I'm going to get a workout buddy. I'm going to find an activity that I love that will help me to be active. So you see how, and this, by the way, when I balance these actions and I take all these action steps, I'm going to have a good quality of life, aren't I? And I'm going to avoid my decreased quality of life. These warning signs are here to let me know, uh-oh, you're getting dangerously close to a decreased quality of life, right? Right? That's why filling in the highest hope and the deepest fear is so important. All right. Any questions about that?
No, it seems a lot easier than
Yeah.
I was making it.
Sometimes you just have to talk it through, you know? I'm going to bring up one more just to give you a sort of like cherry on top. I'm going to bring one more visual up. Which one? This one. Okay. So if you look at this one, and we just did this, but this is for a very specific thing, not just general activity and rest or general health. This is running a marathon. So the deepest fear is I'm not going to be able to run a marathon. The greatest hope, highest hope is that I will. This is how, and this is very simplified, but I just want you to really get it and nail it home. If I have too much activity, I'm going to hurt myself. If I have just enough, I'm going to have increased endurance. How will I know I've injured myself? Well, I'm feeling tired when I wake up in the morning, probably because I've pulled a hamstring or something, right? Or I've overextended myself. If I have too much rest, I'm going to have muscle atrophy. How will I know that I'm getting toward muscle atrophy? I'm going to probably be missing out. Well, if you're running a marathon, I guess you have to work out every day, but missing, I would say, more than one workout day. I would actually amend that, because I think if you stop, if you have to take a day off, you take a day off. All right. If I get enough rest, this is what Tina said, my muscles have a chance to build. Right. And so how can I make sure I achieve that? I make sure I get adequate downtime between my workouts. Maybe not a whole day, maybe a day. I don't know. That's up to you as a runner. How can I make sure I have increased endurance? Well, I will know that I'm doing that when I'm able to run further most workout days, right? Does that make sense? I know it can get a little difficult to understand. So, but I promise you, the more you do them, the easier they get. Any questions? Okay.
So for our activity this week, we're going to be doing the thinking versus feeling. So that's going to go in those two spots, right?
Correct.
In the center. Okay. And so is it how it pertains to our practice and the decisions that we make, or
It can be, it's entirely up to you. It's,
okay.
this time it wasn't specific to the assignment is not specific to your work. But you can, please feel free to use any example from your life at all. If you know, what are the pros and cons of me using my thinking mind versus my my feeling mind. It's not a feeling mind, but you know, coming from the heart as opposed to the head, right? And it's a great thing for all of us to map that out, because most of us need that balance. So this, you think about this as a personal, like, little therapy session for yourself, you know? It's like, how do I come from a logical place? And you may choose, for example, a very specific example that might be going on with you right now. We're in, you know, there's a lot going on politically. So if you could take something that you may be questioning right now that's going on in politics, whether it's the war in the Middle East or abortion rights or whatever, and you can decide, you can say, I'm going to work with this. I'm going to take my thinking and I'm going to take my feeling, and how do I work with those? So you can make it specific to a topic if you wish, or you can just write about it in general, whatever's easier for you. Does that make sense? I don't want to confuse you further. That's the opposite of what I'm trying to do here. Right.
Yes, that makes
Do you
sense.
feel a
Thank
little
you.
more confident?
Yeah, I feel a little bit better. Yeah.
Okay, good. And you can
Yeah.
always rewatch that, and you can always rewatch the Barry Johnson video clip. And there are, I think I also put a link. Yes, I did. In the Yellow Dig announcement where I said I was going to be doing this event tonight, there's another link that's really, really helpful that walks you through all most of the steps anyway, and not as much detail as I just did, but it'll jog your memory to what we just talked about. So I would definitely, I think it's Polarity 101 or something like that is the name of it.
Yeah. I
All
looked
right.
at that.
Good. Yeah. And reach out. If you're not sure, ask me. That's why I'm here. One of the reasons I'm here. All right. So Godspeed, goddess speed, and have a good night. And again, reach out if you have any questions.
All right. Thank you so much. I appreciate you.
Sure thing. Take care.
All right.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.